Hey everyone, welcome back to Quest Markers. My name is Marina, my pronouns are she, her, and I am so excited to be talking about Zelda on the show again. With Tears of the Kingdom releasing this month, today's episode will focus on its predecessor, Breath of the Wild. And as always, spoiler warning, we talk about the entirety of Breath of the Wild, including DLC, and we talk about endgame spoilers for Skyward Sword. We also have a returning guest today, and I am thrilled to have her back on the show. So let's get started. Hi, Ren. How are you doing?
Hello. I'm very happy to be back. It's me.
I am so excited because before we get into your introduction for folks that didn't listen to your prior episode, which you should, because Ren spoke about Metroid Dread beautifully. Before we get into your introduction, it's very funny that we're sitting here to talk about Breath of the Wild today because originally that episode was supposed to be Breath of the Wild and we both got really excited about Metroid. And so we
just freestyled
we pivoted on the spot. Yeah, it was great. That was a fully freestyled episode. So
our passion and love for Samus could not be contained.
I agree. And now that Metroid Prime has been remastered, I'm kind of playing three things at the same time right now, so I haven't had a chance to play it yet, but I'm really excited about that remaster.
Yes. It's it makes the controls a lot easier to use in my experience. If you have the option of playing with the original controls, which I don't recommend.
Yeah, I don't even remember how it used to play because I played it so long ago, but duly noted. Could you please introduce yourself?
Hello, everyone. I am Ren. My pronouns are she, her. I am thrilled to be a friend of Marina's and thrilled to be back on Quest Markers. It's my favorite podcast out of every single podcast out there. I am entering my second year as a localization editor. I love the work. I'm having a great time. And it helps that having a hobby that focuses on games really also helps my career because I get to learn more about what other games and other processes are happening as I do them.
I love this.
Thank you.
And that is way too kind. I am so grateful to be able to call you one of my good friends.
Yay! Me too.
Ren, what are you drinking today?
So again, I'm not sponsored by Calabash, but I always have one of their teas with me. So today, because my tummy is a little upset, I am drinking their Triple Goddess tea, which is ginger tea. Highly recommend ginger tea if your tummy is a little upset too.
That sounds great. Is it any surprise that I'm drinking coffee?
I was going to say, I think we all know what you're drinking, but what kind of coffee?
In the morning, I went out and I got a soy flat white, which was delicious. Ooh. And now I made a soy latte at home.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's so luxurious. I love that.
It really is. The morning coffee of going and having a masterful barista make a coffee for me is just, it's such a treat. And it's one of those things that I just really appreciate. Just a little walk, get some fresh air, get some coffee, and appreciate the craftsmanship of someone making a really good coffee. And then me making not a good coffee at home. So.
Hey, as long as you're just making it part of a ritual to start your day off on the right foot. And that's what matters.
That's it. For folks who have not yet listened to your first episode, what are some of your favorite games?
Well, I'm a casual enjoyer of all Metroid games.
Yes.
As far as favorite games go, and also like what I'm currently playing right now I am working my way through Octopath Traveler 2. I love this game so much. I have to thank my good friend Ramsey for messaging me and being like, hey, Ren, you played the original, right? You really need to play this one. And I was like, I don't know. And then he started describing all the stuff to me that was in the game. And I was like, you know what, Ramsey, you got really good taste in games. Because Ramsey was also the one who introduced me to Breath of the Wild and very aggressively got me into it.
Oh, shout out to Ramsey.
Yeah.
Wait, could you tell us the story of how Ramsey got you into Breath of the Wild?
Yes. I bought a Switch on March 10th because it was Mario Day. And this was like March 10th, like whatever year after it came out. It was like 2018, I think. And I remember telling Ramsey, I was like trying to figure out what games to get for it. And he goes, oh, you should play Breath of the Wild. I have the full box set. I have the giant like compendium book that like
Oh,
comes with if you get
wow.
like the official super crazy awesome version.
Yeah.
And he was like, and I need to focus on my exams. So you need to take this cartridge away from me and hold on to this book for me until I leave for Japan. And I need this on my flight. And I was like, okay, it didn't really seem like my thing, but, it's such a generous offer. I was like, sure, why not? I'll try it. If someone's handing you the
I
cartridge and
love
a friend
that.
is telling you it's lovely. Oh, Ramsey has introduced me to so many games. He once traded me several hours of editing his master's thesis or a thesis he needed to turn in for a copy of Super Mario Odyssey.
Oh my goodness, amazing. I love
Excellent.
this. This is great.
Right? Like, get you some friends who will trade cartridges with you. It's excellent.
Agreed. That is fantastic.
Yeah.
And I know that you also recently started playing Final Fantasy XIV, which I've been talking about this game a lot recently,
Yes.
just in general, which I'm so excited that you're playing
Yeah.
14.
I'm really glad you introduced me to it. It's definitely one of those games I think that is fun on its own and becomes even more fun when you have a group of people who are eagerly awaiting every choice you make, every like costume change, every like small detail, everything you discover. I remember when your crew helped me find some pumpkins and deliver them. And they were like, yeah, that's some real protagonist behavior right there. And I felt so good.
So good.
It was great.
So good. But yeah, to your point, I mean, we're all so excited about our entire Free Company is so excited for exactly what you said. Every outfit change, every big story beat that you get to. And I mean, you're playing through A Realm Reborn now, which it's a lot of world building and it's a lot of text reading, and as you get into the later expansions it gets a lot more cinematic and there's a lot more voice acting, and the story gets a lot tighter, so hopefully you'll enjoy it more and more as you go on. And I'm about halfway through Endwalker right now and I can't put it down. It has me gripped, so I'm very excited that you're playing 14.
Yeah, I've come to appreciate voice acting more and more as I am a person who starts to write little barks and things for characters like that. So that's really good.
It's so fun. But today we are here to talk about Breath of the Wild. And before we get into the narrative, one thing that I wanted to call out, I actually said this on a prior episode, is that I wasn't really excited about Tears of the Kingdom until this last trailer that we got, which was a really story-heavy trailer, because we're going back to the same Hyrule. From Breath of the Wild. It's not like a complete reimagination of that Hyrule. But finally, we now have these story elements and like cutscenes that were teased, and potentially a new race of people that people are thinking are the Zonai. Ganondorf comes back. So I'm so excited to be excited about Zelda again, because it was breaking my heart that I wasn't. Anyway, how did you feel about that last trailer?
Oh, the last trailer hooked me in for many of the reasons you mentioned. But I think the part that really got me was I realized you could like drive things around. And that, like any game that lets me drive something around, I'm instantly like, let me try. I want to play. That looks really fun.
Oh, yes. So good. I love this. And I'm so excited that Matt Mercer is voicing Ganondorf, because when that super small sound clip played of him yelling, I was like, is this Ganondorf from Ocarina of Time? He sounds exactly like him. And it's, of course, Matt Mercer's a genius. And I'm thrilled. I'm so excited.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to these performances. They're going to be amazing.
Me too. But anyway, let's pull it back. Maybe we can talk about like some theories for Tears of the Kingdom at the end if we have any. But maybe we pull it back.
Yeah, let's rewind several years prior.
Let's rewind back to 2017 when Breath of the Wild came out. So maybe I'll kick us off with a very quick summary of Breath of the Wild's story for our listeners, maybe folks that did play it when it first came out. And then we can get into it.
Excellent.
So the story starts off in, present-day Hyrule, and 100 years ago, a primal evil called Calamity Ganon ravaged the world, and Hyrule fell. We've never seen this in a Zelda game before. And prior to this happening, there was a premonition that that this would occur, that there was this evil brewing. And so the Sheikah created technology to combat this evil. So they created guardians and the divine beasts and 120 shrines to test the chosen hero to go and fight this calamity. And unfortunately, all of that preparation was not enough because Calamity Ganon managed to propagate itself into this technology. And I still remember the first time that I encountered a guardian, and it was really horrifying on the Great Plateau. And so, that happened 100 years prior. Hyrule fell, and we eventually learn through the memories that we collect that Link fell, which, we've never seen in a Zelda game before. And so we wake up as Link in the present day in the Shrine of Resurrection. And the King of Hyrule, who lived now as a spirit because he passed away, tells us that we need to go and combat this evil, and that Princess Zelda is sealing to the best of her abilities Calamity Ganon in Hyrule Castle. And so our entire journey is all about training ourselves from 100 years of rest to go and to fight this evil. And so we go and we free the divine beasts, Vah Ruta, Vah Meadow, Vah Rudania, and Vah Naboris. We eventually venture into the Korok Forest to grab the Master Sword that Zelda put there for us under the care of the Deku Tree. And we go to Hyrule Castle to vanquish Calamity Ganon. There's also some DLC in the game if you've played the Champions Ballad that includes the Shrine of Resurrection Divine Beast, which I thought was really cool, as kind of a final training ground for Link. It's where you get the motorcycle, which I thought was cool.
That's like one of my favorite parts of the game is the motorcycle.
So good. We got to talk about that. And also the Master Trials, so the Trial of the Sword, which that bit of the story taught me that my playstyle is extremely chaotic and forced me to kind of pull back and be more strategic. But anyway, the whole story is us as Link, as the protagonist, finding our way again and regaining power again. But in to a great degree, I really believe that this is actually more Zelda's story, because as we collect all of these memories that we lost through this 100 years of being in deep slumber, we see kind of Zelda's internal struggle of, she really wants to be a scientist and an academic and wants to fight this calamity through technology. But meanwhile, what she is told by the king, by her father, is that her destiny is to unlock this sealing power that she has received from the goddess. And I loved that story. I loved Zelda's story more than what we experienced as Link. So maybe we can kick it off there. Let's maybe start talking about the main story and what themes were your favorite.
Yeah, that's a really great summary that you just gave. I feel like you hit all of those salient points and all the points that I genuinely agree with. I do think it was Zelda's story. I think for me, what surprised me most about the game was the theme of family kind of crept in. I felt like, full disclosure, I haven't played a whole lot of the previous Legend of Zelda games. I played Link's Awakening.
Oh, so good.
I like to call it Lonk's Awakening.
Lonk's Awakening. Lonk's Awakening is my favorite game.
Lonk's Awakening.
Yeah, Lonk really just vanquishes all evil in that game.
I have a user on my Switch that's just called Lonk. It's whenever somebody comes over and they want to use my Switch.
Yes.
But yes, I played Link's Awakening, so I had some really bare bones knowledge of it. And in this game was really my first big introduction to Legend of Zelda, and I felt like the relationships between so many of the characters were really strong. The loyalty to a lot of characters within each other's relationships was really strong, because I know the Prince Sidon. I don't actually know.
I've
how
always
to pronounce it.
Sidon. I don't know.
Sidon, the Prince. I don't know. The Mer Prince. Please forgive me.
The Zora Prince.
His sister was Mifa, and shout out to my friend Shaheen. Her cat's name is Mifa now too.
Oh, cute.
Yes. And then we've got obviously Zelda and her dad and her mom, who she's following in their footsteps, right? It's her duty to her family to kind of carry that path forward. Just all these relationships that kind of quietly kept in and was hey, there's a lot of structure that we're familiar with, but also this loyalty that the characters have to each other and their duties is really, really visible. And that pleasantly surprised me.
I never thought about it from that angle of thinking more about family. To me, it's always been more about kind of the bonds between the champions. But I think you're absolutely right. There definitely is. There definitely are themes of family.
Plus, the champions are kind of a little chosen family together, right? Even though Rivali just hates Link. He just hates Link. It's so obvious.
Oh, Rivali.
But they've accepted that their duty is to be able to work together eventually. They have this collective responsibility and they honor it, and they have their cute little blue uniforms.
I love the uniforms, but I agree. I think that they are bound by duty. And eventually learn to fight together. One thing that I really loved as you're kind of discovering the story and understanding, who has known whom in the past, because you're really exploring this post-apocalyptic Hyrule, is that Urbosa was friends with Zelda's mother. And Zelda's mother passed away when she was young. And so I found that really interesting, of characters knowing each other and having these relationships prior to the events of the calamity even starting. So like Link and Mipha were friends when they were young as well. And I really enjoyed kind of understanding who knew who and what the relationships there were as well.
Absolutely. And touching on a point you made earlier about how we learn these stories, we learn them through these memories that trigger if you stand in the right spot. You have to be really intentional about like where you stand, or like following along with the story itself, all the main beats as you go and beat all of the divine beasts. And that was a really fun way to feel like Hyrule was introducing itself to you. It was really touching to find out that Urbosa knew Zelda's mom, and Urbosa cared deeply about Zelda in a very protective, loving way.
Oh, yeah. Hyrule introducing itself to you. I really like that, because I think a lot of people's critique about Breath of the Wild is that it quote unquote doesn't have a story, but the story is told in such a way that the game's main purpose really is exploration from a game design perspective. And so I think it's hard to tell a rigid story while also making it truly open world, because Breath of the Wild, kind of vaguely told you where to go, and then you would have to go and carve your own path, really. And I do think that freedom and choosing your own path is a huge theme in the story, not only from a design perspective, because you can do the divine beasts in any order, but also because that is such a huge narrative thread in Zelda's story of freedom and not being able to choose her own path. And this internal struggle of hers of living up to the expectations that everyone has for her, and then the thing that she actually wants to do.
That was such a huge, crucial component of the story, was like this inner conflict that Zelda had. And to your point about it being brilliant game design and comparing it to other games, I completely agree, because there's like it's almost like it's tiers, like not tiers as in Tears of the Kingdom, haha, but like levels of like organization and hierarchy of the story that you have to complete. You could run in and just beat Ganon, and that's the end of it. But you can also choose to beat all of the divine beasts, and then you get to slowly piece together these fragmented stories. And the genius of the design, like you said, it's fragmented, but when you combine the fragments, it still tells the same story at the end of it. And it really, like you said as well, it framed that desire, that really, really vicious inner conflict that Zelda had about wanting to be a scientist and not wanting to have to fight for her kingdom, and not wanting to have to go stand in the cold water for hours to try and wake up her power. Depending on when you learn those parts about Zelda, it really hits differently.
Agreed. I feel like Zelda, the way that Zelda's story is told is she is far more of a free spirit than Link. Link really feels, to me, a character that's bound by duty, and that that wants to follow through on that duty. And I remember playing the Trial of the Sword, and I'm on the other end of the spectrum from you. I've played a lot of Zelda games. And I remember at the end of that, when you finish the Trial of the Sword, you get a little soundbite of Fi or Fee. Someone's going to comment being like, this is how you pronounce this. Apparently it's supposed to be Fee, but no one really knows.
I'll take your word for it.
I don't know if you should, but it's she's the spirit of the Master Sword, and you hear her sound effect when you finish the Trial of the Sword, which was really, really meaningful for anyone who has played a Zelda game before. But you also get it. Have you collected all of the memories?
I did. I made a point because remember, I had that big book. They told me exactly where I needed to go.
Oh, yeah.
And so once
right.
I discovered I really liked the memories, I was like, I'm going straight here. Like, even there's one I think you kind of like risk your life to go get because I think it's like in the castle or something. There's one that's like really dangerous to go get. And I went and got it immediately.
Yeah. Oh. Damn. Okay. No big deal.
I was like, I need to know the story.
Yeah, no, same. But I bring that up because when you unlock all of the memories and you get to, the final memory where you see Link fall, you hear the sound bite again. You hear the sound effect of Fi speaking to Zelda, which again, like for someone who has played Skyward Sword, is so meaningful because that's your companion throughout the entire game is the spirit of the Master Sword. So yeah, I think they did a really good job from a lore perspective of infusing a lot of Zelda lore into the game. Because for example, you see, if you've played Ocarina of Time, you see Lon Lon Ranch in front of Hyrule Castle, which is really cool. But anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself.
You've reminded me of a deep, dark secret, which is I actually did play like the first third of Skyward Sword when it came out for the Switch.
Yes.
But I threw my Joy-Con and it broke. So I didn't finish the game because I didn't want to play it on the Pro controller.
Yeah, I get it. I did actually make a point of actually wearing the wrist straps when I was playing that game because I was like, yeah, I'm definitely someone who would accidentally just throw my controller accidentally out the window.
Yeah, I should have done that.
My poor Joy-Cons. Your poor Joy-Con.
It's okay. I had another set, but I was like, you know what? I don't know where the straps are, so maybe I should just cool it.
Probably a good call. We've been talking a lot about kind of some of the more emotional moments in the story. What was an emotional moment that stuck with you?
That's a great question. The first thing that honestly comes to mind, and I know we mentioned this earlier, but like the sheer terror whenever you heard the music of somebody attacking you, especially, oh my gosh, that first guardian that walks towards you. I don't know if you experienced it in the same way, but I was like, oh, let me just wander straight from the plateau. I'm just going to like wander towards the castle and see how that goes. And that's the big flat area where there's like 40 guardians just walking around.
Just chilling.
I think it was like, I was like, oh, I should just go get all the towers. So I like marked the closest tower and tried to walk straight there.
Oh no, I know exactly which one. Oh no.
I got booty blasted. That was not fun.
All the guardians there just chilling, having lunch. Just like Lonk rolls around.
Just a little guy with a stick walks up. Some rags. It was bad. It was real bad. I think that was the moment that prompted me also to buy the DLC because I was like, I would like to see how many times I die in my hero's path. That was totally worth it.
Oh my goodness. Oh yeah, that's right. Because that is DLC. I forgot that that's DLC. I really want to talk about DLC, but super quickly, I think for me, it was the most emotional moment was either when we see Zelda cry as Hyrule falls or when we see Link fall. Just really, really emotional cutscenes on both ends. And the one where Zelda cries showed up in that legendary epic Breath of the Wild trailer. And that trailer was just so good. So good.
It was so raw. If I'm thinking of the same moment, they're like covered in mud, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just like raw emotion, raw desperation.
Yeah.
Survival.
Yeah, that's it. Of running from a threat when it feels completely insurmountable and where you fail ultimately the first time around. And I remember in that trailer that I'm mentioning, I hope people know what I'm talking about. It was the big cinematic trailer where the King of Hyrule narrates a lot of it. And there's like legendary epic music. And I really wish that music had made it into the game. And I think this is one thing that people critique as well is most Zelda games have really, really catchy music. And it's I mean, a huge narrative tool that the Zelda series has used from its inception. And then Breath of the Wild doesn't have typical epic Zelda music. Like, you've played Link's Awakening. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised because I remember the theme, the Zelda theme that you always hear when you're playing like Mario Kart or
Yeah.
Super Smash Brothers, and you hear it just like blasting in the background and all the horns, the triumphant. You don't even hear it till you get to the castle. You just hear kind of like 4 piano notes as you're like walking around. And then maybe if you get on a horse and just let it kind of cruise control around all the paths, which was one of my favorite things to do, just get on a horse and just let it like follow the paths. You get like a little bit of the horse piano music. But I agree with you. It was, I think that was one of the places that suffered from the open world is they didn't have a way, or maybe they chose not to. I don't know. Maybe the designers chose not to tie music to too many geographic places other than really, really basic themes.
Yeah, because I wonder, like, when I played, I played a vast majority of Breath of the Wild when I was quite burnt out. And so I would play it in these really long bursts of time. And I wonder if I would have gotten ear fatigue if I was doing that much exploration with, like, you know, epic, legendary, bombastic music in the background. Or whether it did in fact work, that there was minimal music. Because I remember being, you know, on the mountains amongst the snow and
you get like the weird rattle.
Yeah, you get the rattle. And in a way, I do think that worked. And at the same time, I wish that we had more music, because the music that we did have was really, really good. Like, I really like the final boss theme. But fun fact, so my very first 3D game was Ocarina of Time. And in Ocarina of Time, there's a place called the Temple of Time, which is also in Breath of the Wild. It's where you go and the King of Hyrule shows himself to you, or reveals that he is the king and not just, you know, an old man living in the woods.
Some rando.
Not just some rando. And the piano music that plays really, really slowly is actually a very slowed down version of the Temple of Time theme, which is so cool. Like, it's so cool that they put that level of detail into it. So I'm torn. Every time that I talk about this, I'm really torn, because on one end, I do think that it works in a game that that I certainly played for like hours on end without putting it down. But on the other hand, I do wish that we had gotten a bit more music, because I love Zelda music.
Like, as I think about this point, I do agree that with the focus being exploration, it was actually kind of nice to be left alone with your thoughts and the scenery. One of my favorite things while I was first playing the game, and I highly recommend you do this if you're gonna, if Tears of the Kingdom is a similar structure. I kept a little travel journal for Hyrule. I had a little notebook that I kept with the game. And at first it was just like, next time you log on, you know, make sure you go like finish this quest, or like, you know, go give that kid whatever weapon he wanted to look at over in that village. And then it turned into like me including sketches of flowers that I found and like describing my adventures with the Lionels.
The Lionels.
The Lionels.
No.
So one day I remember all I wrote was, I found the Colosseum.
Oh
no. That's all I wrote. And I was like, I looked at that journal entry. I'm like, yep, that was a rough day.
We all know what that means.
But I mean, it did kind of, going back to your point about the music, it did contribute to this feeling of, I am in Hyrule, I am exploring it, I really am Link. It's not like so formulaic that there's just a soundtrack that changes immediately, and it's really obvious every time I like take a couple steps in a direction or something like that. So I share your kind of ambivalence of like, I'm curious how they're going to implement it in Tears of the Kingdom, because I think either way you can make an argument that it works or doesn't work.
Yeah, agreed. And it feels like Tears of the Kingdom will be more story heavy, at least from that last trailer. So I hope that we get, at least for the cinematics, I hope that we get some good music. I hope that we get some like epic boss battles coming back as well, which it looks like we might.
Speaking of boss battles, which was your, like, I guess I should just make a statement and see if you agree with it, but I hated Thunderblight.
I was going to say Thunderblight. I was like, is this the question? And it was the question.
It's more a statement. It's a comment with a question mark. Did you also hate?
Yes. God, I hated Thunderblight so much.
That was harder than the final
Why
boss,
are you zooming
like.
around? Yeah, I agree.
Why you gotta zap me? Why you gotta make me drop all my stuff? It's just rude. How dare.
Fuck Thunderblight.
Yeah, fuck that guy.
But yeah, I agree. I mean, I was disappointed that the final boss battles weren't very difficult. I don't know. I would have liked more of a challenge. But at the same time, I did go to every Divine Beast and like narratively, I suppose it worked because the Divine Beasts bring Calamity Ganons.
You bring him down halfway, right?
That's it. Yeah, exactly. So
it's kind of cool. You can customize it if you want to go straight there and just smack him with a stick.
Yeah, well, I would not want to do that either. So it's like one end of the spectrum or the other, which is weird. But yeah, I suppose one could choose to do that. Which actually is not dissimilar to you were talking about getting the motorcycle, Master Cycle Zero earlier. It's to get that you have to do the Champions Ballad, which is that whole like one hit obliterator quest, which was actually really difficult.
It taught me how to use a bow and arrow. I will say that. I was slacking on my bow and arrow skills, on my like everything but the sword or whatever weapon I held skills. And I am grateful for that. And I feel like I also cheesed it a little bit because I went and got the Majora's Mask, which makes you pretty much invisible.
Oh, nice. I did not do that.
I was lazy.
I didn't know that that's what the Majora's Mask did.
Well, I had the book, you see, so.
There we go. But I did actually really enjoy those quests because all of those side quests of finding the items were written in such a cryptic way. And I was like, oh, where might this be? And I really, really enjoyed that bit of the game of going and searching for things when you only have this very vague clue. I love that stuff.
It definitely turned like ruins as like, I'm just going to go past these to like, let me go and scour them. There might be something there.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you end up doing all 120 shrines?
Yes, I did all 120 shrines. I got really close to all of the Koroks. I think I got like 800 of them, and then I just gave up because I was like, I can't.
My God.
I can't.
Whoa. Okay, I did not do the Koroks.
I love the Koroks. They're my favorite. I love them so much. They're so funny to me.
Well, you got 100 left, so
I know. I'm thinking about going back and finding them. Yeah. But then I saw, this is a spoiler, I saw what the final reward is, and you just get like a lump of gold has to poop.
Yeah, it's just poop.
I was like, this does not feel commensurate to the effort.
But it's funny.
The real reward is the journey.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's very funny that you just get golden poop. Thank you, game.
Thanks. I hate it. You get gold, but it's like a monkey's paw. You get gold, but it's a poop.
That's it. I had a lot of fun finding all of the shrines because I found 119 by myself.
That's really
And then
good.
one was driving me insane.
Yes. It's always the last one.
Yeah.
As long as you enjoyed it.
I did.
It's cool that they also functioned as waypoints you could teleport to.
Yeah, and so I would teleport and I would have my Sheikah Slate on for scanning shrines. And then, of course, the last one was not scannable. So,
yeah, naturally.
It was the one in the Gerudo Desert that you had to, I think you had to light torches for it.
Yes, it's underground, right? Pops up. Yeah.
Yeah, that one. Oh, well.
I think my least favorite shrine was the one where the lady outside was like, don't touch my flowers.
Oh, yeah.
That scared me. It was legit scary.
Honestly, I think she should have been the final boss of the game.
She was frightening.
She kind of was. She was Ingy.
Truly.
Someone asked me this the other day, and I kind of stopped in my tracks because I've been saying Tears of the Kingdom, and they were like, do you think it's tears or tears? And I was like,
oh,
what? And then I was trying to think, like, has anyone said this title in English? Or has it been translated into English from any Nintendo Direct from announcers? And I actually still haven't checked, but I think that it's Tears of the Kingdom, but some people think that it's Tears of the Kingdom.
In my professional opinion, as somebody who has to mess around with localizing stuff.
You're the perfect person to ask.
I think it's very likely that somebody was like, we could have made this clearer, but we're going to make it ambiguous because we can. So I think it's brilliant that they're making it a little ambiguous because I just thought it was tears.
Me too.
Because I think about the kingdom in mourning,
Yeah, me too.
But now I don't know. And I really like that.
Yeah, I know.
It's intriguing. Tears of the kingdom, like a kingdom ripping apart.
Mm-hmm.
That would be really interesting.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any theories or desires from what you'd like to see in the sequel?
Yes, I do. This is a long shot. I have one that's like a long shot and one that I'm like, this would be cool, but
yeah,
I won't be upset if it doesn't happen. The thing that would be cool is if we get to see a lot of Ganon. I was really into all the rehydrated Ganon memes that circulated when we first found out Ganon was just kind of like there was like a corpse that's like slightly resembled him in a trailer, and the internet just ran with it.
Well, to be fair, that corpse did have a bunch of Gerudo markings on it.
Yeah, it was very obviously a Gerudo corpse. That was like, who else would you shove beneath the castle if not Ganondorf?
Yep.
But that would be really cool. I don't know much about him other than he has very similar moves to Captain Falcon in Super Smash Brothers. So I really want to learn a lot more.
That's all you need to know. That is actually the most important piece of information on it.
It's Falcon Punch, but spicy.
That's exactly it. I was going to say, I agree. I'd love to see Ganondorf be a very realized villain because he was, and he had very interesting motivations in Wind Waker, if you ever pick it up.
I want to. The other theory or desire, I suppose, I really want Zelda to be somewhat playable. I really want her to be like, we handed off to Zelda because she had that cute little haircut, and she's like, in one of the trailers, she's like wandering around under the castle with Link. I hope. But I won't be disappointed if they don't, because they never have let you play as Zelda.
Yeah. Which is a shame. And I know like the very last piece of dialogue in that last trailer was Link, you must find me. And I was like, no.
Did I tell you that some user on Reddit figured out where she is based on where the mountains in that?
No way. Yeah. Of course. This is like prime Zelda community, Zelda theorist.
I'm not going to say where it was, but their evidence was very convincing. And somebody commented that they were like, well, the game's not even out. You've already beaten it. Congratulations.
Yeah, there you go. Congratulations, Reddit user.
What are your theories? What are you looking forward to?
I think that we caught a glimpse of Demise in the trailer, and I haven't seen anyone really talking about it on Twitter, and I haven't been on Reddit to see what Redditors are saying. But if it's okay to talk about Skyward Sword spoilers. The main villain of Skyward Sword is this massive demon called Demise that has like really long red hair, and I think that we see his back in that trailer. I really don't think that that's Ganondorf. And Demise inflicts this eternal curse on Link, Zelda, and eventually Ganondorf for them to be constantly resurrected throughout the ages. And there's a quote after you beat Demise, because Demise basically, his hubris is his downfall, because he invites Link at the end of the game to challenge him. And when you beat him, he says, and I'm reading this word for word, "Extraordinary, you stand as a paragon of your kind, human. You fight like no man or demon I have ever known. Though this is not the end. My hate never perishes. It is born anew in a cycle with no end. I will rise again. Those like you, those who share the blood of the goddess and the spirit of the hero, they are eternally bound to this curse. An incarnation of my hatred shall ever follow your kind, dooming them to wander a blood-soaked sea of darkness for all time."
Oh, that goes hard.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And those were his final words before he was sealed in the Master Sword, and we see the Master Sword break in the trailer.
We do. It's like all raggedy.
And so I wonder if that is actually Demise that we see, or Demise's back that we see in the trailer. I would love to see Demise come back. Yeah, because this whole cycle of incarnation started because of him, because of his curse, and he has been left to rot in the Master Sword and is sealed in the Master Sword. So
That's a beautiful theory.
I'd be really curious to see if he comes back, and I think that would make Tears of the Kingdom really interesting narratively.
Kind of like building on all the blocks that they left earlier in the first game.
Yeah, where it feels like they're trying to kind of tie together the timeline, which is a bit of a mess.
Just a little bit.
A little bit, Lonk's Awakening is the most important one. So.
Lonk's Awakening.
Lonk's Awakening. Yeah, but I hope that happens. I'd be really excited for that.
Especially since they've been, I think if you pre-ordered from Walmart, they have a broken Master Sword like wall hanging. And I remember thinking, why would I want to look at that? Like, why would I want the broken Master Sword on my wall? But if it's really crucial to the plot, I could see how it would tie in like the release of Demise.
I hope. Fingers crossed. Also, we're coming up on time. I haven't realized that we've been talking for a fair bit. So what are the things that we haven't explored that you wanted to talk about?
Oh, I did have one. One thing.
Yeah.
One thing I really loved was that you could dye the clothes.
Oh yeah, I love that. What would you normally wear, and in what color?
Oh, okay. So I had 2 outfits. The first was just kind of your generic champions. For all the cutscenes, I wore the champion's tunic and the Hylian pants, and I would wear a diamond circlet because it protected you from the guardians.
Oh yeah.
I did thoroughly enjoy some of the cutscenes where if you wore some of the DLC armor, that was particularly funny looking.
Oh yeah.
Zelda would be like, I haven't seen your face in so long. You'd be standing there with like your little curly horn helmet. That was really entertaining. But my favorite like day-to-day outfit, I would wear the Sheikah armor, or I think the Sheikah armor, whichever ones let you sneak more. But instead of the headpiece, I would wear a Hylian cape and I would dye it white.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, that looked really cool. I like
it. Was really cool. He was like a sneaky, like flowing cape kind of guy with the hood. It was really cool.
You played as Ninja Link.
I love
this
opposite of Shadow Link. What about you? Oh, wait. Oh, it was also always the champion's tunic with the Korok mask. So I was always looking for those little guys.
Nice. Yeah, that does not surprise me. You found 800 of them, so that does not surprise me at all.
Similarly, it was very meditative. I just had to look. I was looking under all the rocks.
This. Nice.
But what was your go-to outfit?
I loved the Hylian tunic. I loved the design of the Hylian tunic, the red with the green details.
It was good.
It was so good. And I like the fact that it had like a bunch of leather pieces on it. And I just thought that it looked really cool. And so it would always be the Hylian tunic with the Hylian pants and sometimes the Hylian hood for me. And then, I'd get bored of the colors and then dye it. And but I always came back to the red and the green. I really loved.
It was a solid combo. Did you go through the upgrade process with the fairies?
Yeah, I did. I upgraded most of my gear. I think I only have like a couple of I have 200 hours in Breath of the Wild, so I think I only have a couple of pieces of gear that I haven't fully upgraded. Did you?
Amazing. Oh, of course. That was why I was farming the Lionels.
Yeah,
and the dragons. The heckin' you had to like shoot the dragons. I was so mad when they were like, shoot his tooth. I was like, you expect me to hit his tooth or his claw? I was like, no. And then I did it anyways, of course. But
of course.
Yeah, the clothes really made the experience for me. Like it was 3 pieces was perfect. Little shivery Link if you got cold was very adorable.
Yeah.
So many little components I really, really love.
Yeah, I think they put a lot of love into that game in a lot of different ways. Like the sound design was, I know we've spoken about this before, but the sound design was incredible.
Phenomenal. I was always impressed by the crunchy sound of the snow footprints because I don't see snow that often. So to me, I was like, oh, it sounds so different.
Oh, so good. I love that game.
Me too. Very excited for the sequel.
Me too. And it comes out soon. I need to finish. Oh man, I need to finish Endwalker and I need to finish Dragon Age Inquisition.
You do.
Before then. I have no time.
It's okay. I just discovered a new feature of Octopath Traveler 2, where they previously in the other game, it was just kind of like 4 stories and they overlapped if you did side quests. And I used to really heartily defend that game. And then Octopath 2 came out and I was like, no, this one's better. They have quests now where you can have like 2 characters go on them at once.
Oh, cool.
Really cool. And they talk to each other. It's amazing.
I need to play it. You've spoken about it a lot.
I think you would enjoy it. Just add it to the queue.
Yeah. On to the backlog it goes. Ren, any final thoughts on Breath of the Wild?
I would say it's really difficult to think about Breath of the Wild without thinking about the Switch and how they were designed hand in hand.
Mm-hmm.
I am a little sad that they're releasing with no new console announcement. I'm a little worried because my Switch is a little old guy. He's been doing his best since 2018, and he already couldn't really handle the Korok Forest.
No. I don't think any Switch could handle the Korok Forest, let's be honest.
Like, you have to dock it, and then you also have to like say a prayer over it and like open all the windows and make sure it's got airflow.
Yep.
A little pillow for when it gets tired.
Little pillow and a blanket.
Tuck it in.
Tuck it in.
But
well, no, maybe not because it's overheating.
I know it's already warm.
Yeah.
I say I'm optimistic that this is kind of their send off to the Switch of like, we're gonna bookend it with the 2 Zelda games that we just poured so much love into. It's obvious that whoever's working on those games, they love it and they're allowed to take their time, hopefully. And I love that so much for them. But I'm really optimistic that soon, TM, we will hear about a new Nintendo console now that we've got Tears of the Kingdom coming out.
Maybe. That is a good point.
Mm-hmm.
It would be beautiful to bookend it with a Zelda game.
Mm-hmm. It'd be really poetic.
Mm-hmm. This was so fun. I love having you on the show. You need to come back again, please.
I love being on your show. Thank you for letting me come back and actually talk about Breath of the Wild.
We did it. We did. Look at us. Who would have thought?
Who would have thought? Not me.
Not me.
Yeah.
As always, you have time to plug anything that you want. The floor is yours.
Oh, fuck. I forget every time.
That's okay.
Damn it. I'm trying to think of what is worth plugging that is not like time sensitive.
Long Sawonkening.
What? Long
Sawonkening.
I might just like come back in and be like, well, definitely go play Long Sawonkening so you can appreciate all of the musical leitmotifs that are going to flow through hopefully the next Zelda game as much as like everything has come in between.
I love this. I agree. I think everyone should play Long Sawonkening.
It's so cute. And
it is.
Wear your wrist straps if you play Skyward Sword. That's what I really want to plug. Be responsible.
Be a responsible capital G gamer. I love this. Red, thank you so much, as always. This is so fun.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me. It's such a great honor and just a joy to be here. I will come back as often as you want me.
Amazing. Done. Thank you, Red. We'll talk soon.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you so much for joining us. Our social links can be found in the description, and if you're on YouTube, let us know what you thought in the comments section. I would love to hear your Zelda theories, so if you have any, whether it's Breath of the Wild related or another Zelda game, let us know. All right, I'm gonna run. Thanks, everybody. See you next time.